Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Sunday, May 18th, 2025. If you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in Major League Baseball, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Sunday, Major League Baseball. First up, we got the Houston Astros taking on the Texas Rangers. No official starter right now for Houston, but we should see Jack Leiter going for the Rangers. And we've seen Leiter now pitch 3 games since returning from injury, or 4 games. The first 3 were not the sharpest. We saw him give up in only 3 1/3, 4 walks against the Giants, gave up 6 runs against the Mariners, gave up 4 against the Red Sox. But his last start against the Rockies, now obviously the Rockies one of the weakest lineups in baseball, but still 6 innings, one run, 5 strikeouts in a 4-1 Rangers win. It was a really impressive outing for Leiter, and I think he could build on that. And I think when you look at the Astros, we talk about how their offense has not been the strongest on the road this season. You got a Rangers team, I think, get on the board early, but I don't love their bullpen right now with all the injuries. So I'm just going to take the Rangers in the first 5 innings on the money line. Next up, we got the Atlanta Braves and the Boston Red Sox. We got Spencer Schwellenbach and Brian Bayo as the starters. We've talked about how Bayo's expected ERA is rather steep right now, and we saw him not really pitch too well in that last game against the Tigers, only going 4 2/3, giving up 6 base hits, a home run, couple of walks, 3 total runs in the loss in the end. Now, it was actually a really competitive game, and Bayo didn't take the loss in that one, but still not a great outing, and I think the Braves can get to him. Even though I haven't been in love with Atlanta's offense in the month of May against righties or lefties, the same thing goes for me with the Red Sox. I mean, they really struggled offensively in the month of May. They're near the bottom of the league, just like Atlanta, in team OPS against right-handed pitching. But the difference for Atlanta, I trust their starting pitcher a lot more. I think Schwellenbach is the much better option. So I do think this is going to be a higher scoring game. I think the over's in play, but I think the Braves do win in the end. So give me Atlanta on the money line. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. We got Paul Skeens and Mick Abel making his Major League debut in this one. Now, when you look at Abel, he's a former first-round pick, 15th overall. He is the number 8 prospect in the Phillies organization. He's somebody that's got great strikeout numbers throughout his career in the minor leagues, but with that, his control's been an issue. We've seen the walks pile up, the walks per 9, pretty steep throughout his career. But the Pirates, while they're not a great lineup offensively, they've struggled in the month of May against righties. What they do well is limit strikeouts, and the walk rate's actually the 3rd highest in the month of May so far against right-handed pitchers. So I think that patience actually really benefits the Pirates in this matchup against Abel. And with Paul Skeens on the mound, we don't always see the Buccos back him up in the run support department. This is a situation where I think they will. I'm going to take the Pirates in this game. We can get Skeens at a reasonable price. I think he gets some run support. Give me the Pirates. Next up, we got the Washington Nationals taking on the Baltimore Orioles. We got Michael Soroka and Zach Eflin as the starters. This is one of those games. I think it's a really tough game, in my opinion, because I do think Soroka is a lot better than his current ERA, but I also think Zach Eflin's a good option for the Orioles on the other side. And it's a game where if the Orioles were, at this point in the season, in first place in the AL East, like a lot of people had them going into the year, we would probably see Baltimore as a minus 220, 250 favorite in a game like this, with their ace on the mound, playing at home, going up against an ERA above 6 in Soroka. But because of the Orioles losing ways and basically a disaster start to the year, they're not as big of a favorite. They're still, pretty sizable favorite in this game. But I don't think there's enough, we're not getting a good enough price with the Nationals, not enough plus money for me to take a chance with Washington, because while I think Soroka could pitch well, I think it's kind of a cancel-out situation with both these starters, and then the bullpen advantage goes to Baltimore in a big way. So I'm going to roll with the Orioles in this one on the money line. Just a lean from me. I wouldn't want to lay 1.5 runs because I do think it's going to be a competitive game, but I understand the money line is really steep right now. Next up, the Detroit Tigers taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. We've got Jackson Jobe and Jose Barrios as the projected starters. I like the over in this game. You got 2 of the best lineups in baseball right now against right-handed pitching going at it. In the month of May, Toronto is number 1 in team OPS and number 4 in isolated power, while the Tigers are number 2 in both OPS and ISO against righties in the month. Low strikeout rate for Toronto at just above 20%. I think that they can get to Jackson Jobe for a few runs. I think the Tigers will certainly be able to score off of Jose Barrios, who's coming off a not-so-great outing against the Rays. 5 runs given up in 5 1/3 innings. He's now given up 3 home runs and 8 walks his last 2 starts. I don't think either of these starting pitchers decides the winner of this game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Give me the over. Next up, the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Luis Ortiz and Andrew Abbott are the starters. Not my favorite game on the board. I think Ortiz would have a solid outing, but I also think that Abbott can put together a strong start. He's been excellent to start the season. Guardians been miserable against lefties in the month of May. I do think Cleveland has the better bullpen, so I'm going to side just slightly with the Guardians in this matchup, but this for me is a coin flip type of game, and there's better games on the board for Sunday. Next up, we got the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Miami Marlins. We got Shane Baz and Cal Quantrill as the starters. We talked about how Shane Baz and even a guy like Ryan Pepiot, a lot of their first few starts of the season were pitching at Steinbrenner Field because the Rays have had a lot of home games early this season. And we talk about how they're struggling with the home run ball, sharp contact. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark, and the Tampa weather, short porch, just not really beneficial for these pitchers. But as we see these starters get some more road games, maybe we'll see them excel. We saw Baz on the road in his last start against the Blue Jays, 4 2/3, 3 runs, 2 home runs, 2 walks. The Rays ended up winning that game, but it was still not a good outing for Baz. He had 6 strikeouts in those 4 2, but just not a sharp outing. His control was off, and I can't trust him in this game at this kind of price. I think Cal Quantrill, obviously not having a great season himself, but the Marlins' offense against righties has been very solid this season, a lot better than expected. I think they'll be able to get to Baz. I think it's going to be a competitive game and one where I'd rather take this kind of price with the Marlins at home. Next up, we got the Minnesota Twins taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Zebby Matthews makes his season debut for Minnesota. Freddie Peralta going for Milwaukee. I think we'll see a low-scoring game in this one. I like the under. You got 2 starting pitchers that I trust in this game. Even Zebby Matthews making his season debut, but in the minor leagues, just excellent strikeout numbers. And the one big problem, it was a huge problem for Matthews last year at the major league level, was the home run ball. He gave up a ton of home runs in about 37 innings. I think it was 11 home runs given up. That's not going to get it done at the major league level, but in the minor leagues so far this year in AAA, 0.3 home runs per 9. If he can keep the ball on the ground, keep the ball in the yard, he should be a really good starting pitching option or even relieving option for the Twins this season. And I think Peralta, we know, of course, the ace of this rotation, should put together a bounce-back starter after a not-so-great outing against Cleveland. I thought it was a little bit of an unlucky start for Peralta as well in that game, though. So I'm going to roll with the under in Brewers Twins. 2 solid bullpens, especially Minnesota. Give me the under. Next up, the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Kansas City Royals. Matthew Liberatore and Michael Wacha are the starters. Now, the Cardinals, the current lineup for St. Louis has really gotten to Michael Wacha in the previous matchups. In about 80 plate appearances, a really steep xWOBA and expected slugging percentage for Wacha in those matchups. And the Royals in the month of May against left-handed pitching, a .65 or .065 isolated power is not going to get it done. A 625 team OPS is ranked 20th in baseball. Low walk rate to go with it, and that's all with a 325 BABIP. They've been kind of fortunate and still have bad numbers. I think that Liberatore has been really solid for the Cardinals in his role. I think the Cardinals can get to Wacha. I like St. Louis at this price. Give me the Cardinals on the money line. Next up, we got the Chicago White Sox taking on the Chicago Cubs. We've got Jonathan Cannon and Colin Ray as the starters. Now, Colin Ray's been really solid. 36 in the third innings, 2.48 ERA. He's got 3-0 record with a 1.21 whip, not too shabby. 3 home runs given up this season. Don't love the fact that they were the last 3 games, each of those starts, at least 1 bomb. But he's still been really strong, and he's coming off a 6 2/3, 2-run performance against the Marlins. I think he'll be good enough. I think overall this will be a higher scoring game, but the Cubs should be able to get to Cannon and the White Sox bullpen enough to cover that run line in the end. The Cubs are a giant favorite, not a ton of value in this game, but I am going to lean towards Chicago with the Cubs on the run line, laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we got the Athletics and the Giants. We got Jeffrey Springs and Justin Verlander as the starters. Now, we saw another lefty in this rotation for the A's in J.P. Sears struggle in the first matchup of this series, but Jeffrey Springs is in great form right now. He's been, inconsistent this year, but as of late, 6 innings shutout against the Rangers, 5 innings, 2 runs against the Mariners, and then 7 innings, a 1-run ball against the Dodgers in an 11-1 A's win. He's been sharp, and Justin Verlander has just not done very well on the mound this season in terms of the Giants have lost a lot of his starts. They've lost 4 of his last 5 games. He's given up a lot of base runners, a lot of base hits, and now home runs. He gave up 2 home runs at Oracle Park in his last start. Really not a place where we see too many long balls, but I think the A's can get to Verlander for a few runs, and I think Springs continues to pitch well. I'm going to roll with the A's at a great price on the money line on the road. Next up, we got the Angels and the Dodgers. We got Yusei Kikuchi and Tony Gonsolin as the starters. I like the over in this game. I also think the Dodgers end up winning this game and covering the run line. But when you look at Kikuchi against the current Dodgers lineup, not the best numbers, right around 500 expected slugging percentage. Kikuchi overall this season has struggled, and the Dodgers have been one of the best lineups in baseball against left-handed pitching. So far in the month of May, about 100 plate appearances, which isn't the largest sample size, but an OPS over 1,000, 348 isolated power, low strikeout rate. I think Kikuchi's in trouble. I also think Gonsolin can give up a few runs, but should otherwise be decent enough to get the Dodgers the run line win. I'm going to go with the Dodgers in the over in this one. Next up, we got the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. We got Chase Dollander and Merrill Kelly as the starters. Kelly's in great form right now. He's given up 3 runs or fewer in his last 5 starts. His strikeout numbers are starting to pick it up as well. We know the Rockies have been miserable offensively this season, especially away from Coors. But you got Chase Dollander on the other side, who had a 1-hitter in his last game, 6 innings, 1 hit. It was a home run to Wyatt Langford, and that was enough for the Rangers to win that game 2-1. It was a 2-run home run. Really disappointing way to end that no-hitter and to take the loss in that game 2-1, but still a really good outing for Dollander. Had 7 strikeouts in 6 innings. He's making improvements. I think he's a lot better than his current ERA. Give me the under in Rockies Diamondbacks. Next up, we've got the Seattle Mariners taking on the San Diego Padres. Brian Wu and Michael King are the starters. Both starting pitching options are good ones, and both have pitched really well against the opposition in their career matchups. And we're at a pitcher-friendly ballpark. I think it's going to be a competitive, low-scoring game. But the key for me is, Brian Wu's not been the best on the road this season. He's been excellent at T-Mobile Park in about 20 innings of work, a sub-1 ERA. But on the road, that ERA is up to 4.02. The opponent's batting average a little bit steeper. Still, not terrible numbers for Wu, but I think that the Padres can find enough runs off him, 2 to 3 runs in about 6 innings of work. Still a quality start, but enough to win this game in a 3-2, 4-3 type of final score. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I like the Padres to win it on the money line. Next up, the final game of the Subway Series between the New York Mets and the New York Yankees. We've got David Peterson and Max Fried on the mound in this one, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Max Fried, pitching in the the NL East for most of his career with the Braves, has faced this Mets lineup quite a bit. Over 210 plate appearances against the current Mets lineup, 25% strikeout rate, pretty low walk rate, and a low xWOBA at 318. Not too shabby for all those plate appearances, a large sample size. I think Fried, of course, has been one of the best pitchers in baseball, 6-0, 1.1 ERA. I think he's the better option in this game over Peterson. I think the Yankees do win this game. And I like the Yanks on the money line and run line at Yankee Stadium to end this series. And that's it. Those are the games for Sunday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium, and there is a link in the description. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.